Good morning. This is Valvalie Harity broadcasting from beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. But first, I want you to hear my wonderful theme song. So here we go. I just love it. It's by Neil Van Aird. And here we go.
Let's talk about life. Let's have a little conversation. Let's talk about life. And love and information. Let's talk about life. And let's talk about love.
Isn't that wonderful? I just love that song. It's so upbeat. So I want to give a little applause to Neil. I'm playing with some of my little soundtracks. So this is for Neil. Thank you, Neil. Okay. It's a wonderful day. It's Thanksgiving weekend. And I've asked my listeners, my Facebook friends, and everybody that I've been hanging out with this week. And it's been a wonderful week. So I'm grateful for a wonderful week. And we talked about gratitude. And gratitude comes in so many ways, shapes, and forms that the idea of gratitude, which of course isn't abstract, it's a feeling. And so it's very hard to get into how gratitude feels. So I wanted to get into that a little bit because that's kind of what I do. I get into things on a deeper level. I also wanted to announce that I have 2 sponsors. I have 3 now, and I'm very excited about that. I want to share my primary sponsor is UPS at 2nd and 2nd South in St. Pete. It's a full-service UPS store, and everybody knows Joe and Don and about the store, but unless you spend some time there doing a variety of different things, a lot of people don't know exactly how many services are there. Well, for example, you can get your passport photo taken there. You can get things notarized. They have all kinds of packaging equipment. They have a P.O. box and private mailbox that is full service. A package comes in, you get notified. They hold things for you. They ship things for you. They're very, very attentive to their customers. The other thing I wanted to mention, too, I happened to read in the Wall Street Journal that UPS in general is going to raise their fees the closer you get to Christmas. So there's some sort of cutoff time. And I'm going to talk to Joe about that and find out if I'm sure they're participating in that, but so you want to ship early. That's really important. It's going to change my way of shipping. I'm usually a last-minute shipper. So pay attention to that. My other sponsor, and very, very pleased because this all began in a quest for my red salsa lipstick, which I bought in Chicago years ago, and it became a signature lipstick for me. Plus, I got more comments on that lipstick than any other lipstick I've worn ever. So I was bereft when I found out they were discontinuing. And so I'm on a quest for a new red salsa. So I've got about a half a tube left, a little less than a half a tube. I bought out my rep in Chicago. I said, how many can you get me? And so I had like 6 or 7. But over the years, of course, they've all been used up. And one thing about Mary Kay products, they last forever. I mean, they don't dry out and get old and stuff like that. At least the lipstick doesn't. So Kathy Knob is a new Mary Kay rep in St. Pete. And she's going to sponsor for the next 2 months. And if you want to reach Kathy, you want to order anything, they have amazing holiday gifts and amazing stocking stuffers and amazing products across the board. I can honestly say I won't use any other product. I haven't for years. It's just that high quality, So anyway, if you're interested in talking to Kathy about Mary Kay products, she's new, she's starting out, she's looking for, customers like she should. Her number is 727-504-8703. So that's for Kathy. And Kathy, thank you for stepping forward and allowing me to share your experiences and help you grow. I'm very happy and pleased to do that. My next sponsor is part of my giving back. It's the Veterans Arts Center of Tampa Bay. And December 2nd, they're having a huge casino night. Now, I know we're all in St. Pete, but, it's in Largo, but it's going to be worth the ride. Their events are amazing. The amount of food, the amount of vibes, the music, they really know how to do an event. So I'm urging everybody to go to the Veteran Arts Center, Tampa Bay, and inquire about the event, see if you're free. It's December 2nd. And you can call 813-504-3092 to find out more details. So there we are, moving right along. So what is gratitude? Gratitude is actually an emotion. It's a feeling. We can call it a warm fuzzy, but it has a psychological underpinning, or rather a meaningful underpinning, because we can identify gratitude when we feel it because it follows an experience. It follows an awareness. And that comes up every Thanksgiving and often through other holidays, but primarily Thanksgiving. What are we grateful for? What are we thankful for? But for me, I'm more interested in everyday gratitude. It's fine to be grateful over Thanksgiving, and that's fine. That's tradition, and I understand that. But I'm more interested in the everyday gratitude. The simple things, the things that we can practice 24/7 without any effort whatsoever. No big meals made, no big meals eaten, no gifts exchanging hands. And that's a simple thing. It's the gratitude of a simple thank you. I have to admit, I don't see a lot of that lately. And it concerns me because it's sort of the cornerstone of, civilization, if you will. How to be a civilized, or what we call a high culture experience. There's a lot of ways I can reframe this, but the point is, it's an everyday occurrence that has sort of fallen by the wayside. Seriously, when was the last time, you said thank you or heard a thank you? So I want to start talking about, having your community and our community be a thank you community. All the little things we all take for granted. And the closer we are to people, often the less we say thank you. We kind of take that for granted too. But these are the little gestures. I believe in little gestures. I look for what is called meta-communication. It's a defining thing for me. I'm not always good at it myself, but I really do try to pay attention to that. There's things like greeting people when you enter a room, saying goodbye when you leave. These are all little gestures, but they all add up. It also helps you acknowledge people. It helps people acknowledge you. If you do a nice gesture, a thank you is the least you can do. I started Kindness of Stranger Stories on Facebook right after the election because it was a counterpoint in my mind to some of the incredibly acidic posts and browbeating and hair pulling and all the things that everyone acted out, when we got our new president. And I could certainly empathize with that, but it got a little much. And I like balance. Carl Jung, who is my mentor, I'm a Jungian, not a Freudian. And quickly, well, there's a big difference. I might just do a whole show on the difference. I did for the Dali Museum. I did a comparison between Freud and Jung, both how they were alike and how they differed. So I think it's still up on the Dali website if you want to look it up. Anyway, I might do a show on that. But the things that make a difference in our lives, the acknowledgement, the being seen, being heard. I mean, that's a basic need. So when you're greeted by somebody, you're seen and heard. When you greet somebody, you're seeing them and you're hearing them and you're acknowledging them. And acknowledgement is very, very primary, very necessary to the human condition. I read something upsetting yesterday. It was about a teenage suicide. And it was the huge spike in teenage suicides was the author linked it to the use of cell phones and social media. And I started to think about that. And I remember thinking and saying to many people, I'd like some FaceTime with you. And it was my way of saying, hey, I want to be with you in person. I want to talk to you and see your face and connect. And social media has interrupted that form of interaction. So I think part of it is, once again, people aren't being seen or being heard. They need other people. We all need other people. So how do we go about creating that in our world? Well, one of the ways I do it is just say, hey, I'd rather talk about this over coffee, or I'd rather meet and, have lunch, or let's take a walk, or whatever. But to not, let social media be the only vehicle, for your social interactions. And I'm not talking about your everyday interactions. I'm not talking about your people you live with and things like that. I'm talking about the relationships that are strong, but they may be from afar. My niece is coming in next month, in February, because we need FaceTime with each other. And we need to do it in real life, not through an electronic medium. So how do you get FaceTime? You create it. You make the time. You set the time aside to meet with somebody. I'm meeting, and the stronger the bond, of course, the less you have to meet and have FaceTime, but you still do. It's still a necessary component, of the human condition. Just looking at somebody's face, reading them, seeing how they feel, being empathic and connected. That's all about FaceTime. It's not about computers and virtual time. And so, once again, FaceTime, gratitude, letting people know you care enough about them to set some time out of your day to spend with them, to say, greet them. The simplest thing is, I walked in a room last week and, I had to introduce myself. The host and hostess weren't tuned into that social grace, if you want to call it that. So, and that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Maybe it's time for a new etiquette book, and an etiquette book that about, I'd be grateful for an etiquette book or for guidelines for people to understand the guidelines, understand reciprocity, understand acknowledgement, understand, what it means to the other person to be seen and heard, and what it really means to you. And I think that's so very, very important. So I want to lead into the gratitude list with these kinds of thoughts in mind. It's fine once a year to be grateful. It's fine to seek your closest family and friends and share a meal. That's all fine and well. But that's one day a year. And the next day everybody's out madly, buying things. They're even buying things on Thanksgiving Day now. I mean, it's like we're an obsession, a cultural obsession. I think that's how we got the president we got, because he represented buying things, And maybe it's my age, maybe it's my experiences in life, maybe it's sitting with people for 30 years, understanding what really makes people happy. And nobody's ever said anything about things. They appreciate a gift from somebody they love, or they love to give a gift to somebody they love. But nobody sits in my client space, my temenos, I call it a temenos, which is Greek for sacred space, and talks about they're grateful for stuff. Stuff isn't just part of the game. It's a symbol of some things. But what's the point when you have a client who comes to you in tears because she's been diagnosed with breast cancer and her husband's decided to leave her? Her wealthy husband, So, what's that about? I mean, that's the kind of a thing that we're talking about. Never once was it in his mind that she deserved empathy, compassion, love. No, he just didn't want to be bothered. Or he freaked out. I don't know which. I never interviewed him. But these are the kinds of things that take on significance and take on meaning. So let's talk about everyday gratitude, saying hello, saying goodbye, recognizing other people, saying thank you, simple thank you. In all your interactions, there's usually some occasion to say thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. That was nice of you. What a nice gesture. Acknowledging gratitude on a daily basis. And, of course, celebrating Thanksgiving and the bigger picture, the big one day. But I don't think it's necessary to follow with a shopping spree. I just don't get that. A lot of people I've heard on TV, this is so much fun. And I'm thinking that's the very absolute last thing I would ever want to do. And there's nothing fun about fighting crowds, exhausting yourself, overspending. That's not fun to me. I guess it's just a different head trip. So let's talk about my friends who shared their gratitude stories with me. They come in there was a lot of them. I had on Facebook and in my private emails and messages on Facebook. I got a lot of feedback. I mean, more than I could ever articulate, on an hour show. Well, they came in categories. So I started reading through them yesterday. And first of all, there's grateful to be alive category. I fall into that category. I'm grateful my cancer is in submission. There were a lot of people who were grateful that their health was stable. And that kind of course, resonated with me. So there was that group. And then there were people grateful for their family, the family crowd, I call them. I'm grateful for my family. And I don't think anybody on the list said they were grateful for a thing. Other people talked about they're grateful for a quality they have. So there was quite a bit of variety, but they still, everything fell into one category or another. So I'm going to read some of them to you. I don't know if I'll get through all of them. But I'll do my best. Let me see. Sandy Vanna was very grateful for her connection to people. Nola, she was grateful for a husband who gave her an example of how stable somebody can be. I laughed at that one. Casey Bird talked about the people that have adopted her into their families. David Knowlton was one of the cancer folks in my group. I'm grateful to feel normal again after oral and tongue cancer. He's grateful CBD oil. I think it's cannabis. I'm not sure. And his dry mouth is over. He can eat anything he wants. Now, I could relate to that. And David, I'm with you. Thank you for sharing that. He has energy. He's off of opiates. He's back full-time working. He's been through a tremendous crisis. And he survived, and he's back, and he's grateful. Lynette Davis, one of my favorite people, is grateful for motherhood. Now, she could have a very long list because she's got a lot of qualities. But, so Lynette, I'm grateful to have met you. Scott Robinson talks about his partner, his spouse, his other half, he calls it, 32 years. He's been, let's see. Here's what he says. There's no words to describe our love. 10 years ago, we came up with a word, and it's not a word, it's a name. So obviously, this is their child, Alexander Edgar Robinson. I have been truly blessed. Life is really tough right now, but it will never be bad. Now, I love that. Of what all the things I've read, something like that really resonates. Now, this is true gratitude. This is true gratitude. Life is really tough right now, but it will never be bad. Wow. Scott, that's fairly profound. He says, I love you, Alicia, and I live for you. And Bump, who's the nickname, obviously, for Alexander, and he gives thanks. Pat Sanchez says, I am grateful that I recognize that I should be grateful. So basically what Pat is saying, hey, I'm self-aware. I'm aware. I'm conscious. I know what life can, throw at you. And I'm grateful that I know how to be grateful. It's very easy in this climate we live in to be, a sour pickle, ungrateful, a bah humbug person. Val Boyle says, I am grateful that I'm sober and I'm accepting me for who I am. Well, sobriety is huge. It is absolutely huge. I started my private practice working with alcoholic family systems. I understand them, I think, as well as any other expert in the field. And overcoming alcoholism and drug addiction is huge. It's huge. And for somebody to be able to do that and be grateful that they are able to do that and to honor themselves, I think is really important. There's other people that talk about other people. Evie says she's grateful to enjoy retirement with her husband. Linda Eubanks is grateful that she hasn't had an MS experience in 8 years. That resonated with me because I lost a child to MS. So I'm very, very happy for you, Linda. Rob Mormon says, even though I have a bad back, I'm able to do what I love for a living. He's a photographer. He's grateful for his partner. Moving right along. Robin Seymour. I'm grateful for all the wonderful support, advice, and care that my aunts and my mom have received these past few years to live out their remaining life. I'm safe, comfortable, and as happy as possible under the circumstances. Diane Griffin is grateful for her child, her animals. She calls them her fur kids. Nakia, I always like the abstracts. I'm sorry, I have to admit that. She's grateful for freedom, peace, and love. And I think that's wonderful because we need to really, really appreciate that more. All you have to do is read the foreign news and you'll understand how wonderful, how grateful, in spite of the leadership of this country, we still have so much to be grateful for. Susan Charlton talks about health. She's in the health category with me. She's grateful for health of others and around me, like my mom, my kids, my husband, and her friends. She's grateful. She's grateful that everybody's in good health. Peggy says she's grateful to have a family. Carla, I'm grateful to have been given the life I am living, giving birth to 2 healthy children and 7 grandchildren. I'm grateful for the opportunity to move, to live near them. Stephanie, wonderful artist Stephanie, I am grateful to have wonderful friends, many of them who become my surrogate family. She's grateful for her gift of art. Let's talk about, that's a good point. A lot of people, have been blessed by nature, one way or another. Artistic talent, athletic talent, the gifts that the good Lord gives you. And Stephanie talked about that. So Robin pipes in on this one, says, oh, this is also inspiring. And yes, it is, Robin, and I'm glad you said that because it is. And I'm hoping people who listen to this will, go through their gratitude list. But once again, the larger picture, your gratitude for your health, your family, your community, your circumstances, but don't forget the little gratitudes. There's so many of them in my world. I have a neighbor who, this sounds small, but just remember, he didn't have to do this, that he gives me the New Yorker when he's done reading it. So, hanging off my doorknob regularly is a New York magazine, New Yorker. I'm grateful for that. Very grateful. So that's a small example of people do things for you they don't have to do. I have a bachelor down the hall who, if I bake, I usually bake some sort of bread, like not soda bread, orange cranberry bread, banana nut bread. I cut off the hunks, and put it in a bag and hang it on his doorknob. These are the things people can do for each other that are meaningful, but require a very small amount of effort. And I think another thing, I'm going to finish reading this, but I just had a brainstorm, so I'll get back to that. Susan Gotts was grateful for the time she get to spend with her mother before her mother passed. And that resonated with me too, because my mom died in my arms. She was only 52. So I was grateful to be able to be there for her. I don't have a name attached to this one. I am grateful for Mark, our kitty Squeaky, and my family. I am grateful for having the support and encouragement to pursue my creative passions. I am grateful for music and my friends who play music with me. So let me know whose that is. For somehow I printed these out, the name didn't come up. Patricia Fogelsonger. I'm grateful for my new family who adopted me this year. It's another thing. We have a lot of adopted families. Joseph, my new brother in New Zealand, and his mom, and now my mom in Australia. Isn't that cool? Carla Bristol. Community. She's grateful for community. This is another one without a name. Boy, when this printed out, I don't know how that happened, but I love this one. I am grateful that each time I am offered another opportunity to make meaning from suffering and to share it with others. Well, this is obviously some healer person. I wish I knew who this was because I like it. Deborah Gromack, I am grateful for the people who care for people who care for people for a living. Thank you, people. So I love this too because she drills down a bit. Charlene Shelton says, I'm grateful for my health. I've got a lot of pages of these. I hope I get through them. Gretchen Juranilla, I'm grateful that my beautiful children are in good health and are free of illnesses. One having recovered from a tumor that had grown in her pancreas, and the other had a rough challenge of mental illness. They are well, they're recovered, and they're leading great lives. I'm happy, Gretchen. I'm happy to hear that. Linda Craig is grateful for three things: her sobriety, her daughter, and her sanity. Well, there you go, Linda. How about that? Kathy Knob. I'm grateful for my amazing life and new friends and Mary Kay. It's wonderful spending time with these positive and powerful women. Thanks to all my friends for their support in this new endeavor. Nice. Shauna Gillette, she's grateful she wakes up every day, so she's grateful for life. Robin Miller, he's grateful for his wife, Debbie. So the list goes on and on and on. I also wanted to talk about something else that has been on my mind. And it's more than just the little things. It's about creating a life that you can be grateful for. Creating an awareness. This is kind of abstract and off the top of my head. By the way, I'll be grateful when my frog in my throat departs. I'm being treated for it, but it takes a time. And I'm grateful for my new granddaughter, my first grandchild. She's 2 months old. She was born the day before her father's birthday, my son Michael. Her name is Ryan Mora. So she's named after my daughter Mora, who passed away. And so there's a lot to be grateful for. So we talked about, often I talk about silver linings. I think it's really important. I think after years of working with people whose life is really, really really horrible psychologically and often emotionally and situationally. I mean, it's very important to help people find silver linings, to find the good things out of all the bad things. And it became a habit with me to look for silver linings, no matter how dark and foreboding things seemed, no matter how painful they were. If you really look, you will find a silver lining. There will be some good. There's always good. Trust me on this. Just trust me. There's always good, but it's very hard to find in the darkest hours. Carl Jung talks about the dark night of the soul. And I had one. I had one in my whole lifetime. And that was the only time there was no silver lining. So I want you to think about a couple of things before I end the show. I want to thank everyone for contributing. So once again, let's see if I can get a sound effect that's fun. How about that one? Cool. We'll play with some other ones next time. So I'd like to close the show on talk once again about sponsors. UPS and 2nd and 2nd South, St. Petersburg, Florida. Get those packages in, folks, so you're not hit with a late fee, and you can have one major thing off your plate, because it's not just mailing the package. We both know that. It's worrying about, will it arrive in this day and age? So once you mail it, it's not like it's off your plate. You're thinking, well, did they get it? So what I do now is I send a little text or an email or something. I say, hey, I just mailed something. Let me know that you got it. Because things are crazy. Things are unsettled. And everyone's suffering from stress and suffering from uncertainty, and uncertainty is always stressful. So it's all the more reason to be kind, to be thoughtful, to display social grace, which is the thank yous, the hellos, the goodbyes, the thank yous, the little gestures in life. I think that's really important. So try to habituate that in your life if it's not there already. It's not something people think about, and I'm hoping to raise awareness around that. I'm grateful that all the people responded to my request for gratitude. I'm really grateful. Some people shared with me but didn't want me to share on the air, so I honored that request. So let's practice some little social graces starting now. Kindness, consideration, acknowledging the other person, being acknowledged. And it's perfectly okay to ask for acknowledgement. Or acknowledge yourself, like when I walked into that room and I didn't hardly know anyone, I just took it upon myself to introduce myself to everyone. So there's ways that you can acknowledge yourself, and that's one of the ways I did it. It's okay to give yourself a pat on the back when you do something good. It's fine to share it, but in my world, sharing it is an internal thing. I cooked all day yesterday, and I just had to do a little tiny video of this dish, this beef bourguignon I'd slaved over. It's a complicated French recipe. And I was congratulated myself for changing an ingredient. They had 4 wines in this dish, 4 different wines. I thought, oh my God, that's $50 or more just in wines. half a cup here, a fourth of a cup there, lighting the beef, pouring brandy over it and lighting it, which I did. That's supposed to, I don't know, add flavor. I'm sure it does somehow. But I sure as hell couldn't taste brandy in the dish. But I substituted one of the wines. I substituted pure cranberry juice. So I congratulated myself when it tasted really good. So there's a lot of ways you can honor yourself, recognize yourself, be there for yourself, give yourself a break, be thankful. I'm thankful for Miss Nina. She's at my feet right now, snoring. A lot of times in the past, people said, is that who's snoring? And I would say, well, that's Miss Nina. She's the mascot for Let's Talk Life. So, my friends, if you want Mary Kay, and you do, once you experience their cosmetics and makeup, you will never use another brand. Trust me on that. Call Kathy Knob at 727-504-8703. Get your packages into UPS. Buy your stuff there. They have wonderful cards, by the way, a great 2-3 racks of wonderful greeting cards. And go to Casino Night, December 2nd, the Veterans Arts Center at Tampa Bay. Call 813-504-3092 and get yourself over there. It's going to be a blast. Casino nights are a ton of fun. I'm grateful that you're here listening to me today. Thank you very much. Now we're going to end. Go out and demonstrate gratitude in all things. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Let's talk about life. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about